I work with a lot of people who feel out of control in their life. And they think that they want more control over their life. One of the first things that I really work to help these individuals understand is that control may actually be the problem. You see, when we try to control things, we're trying that what we try to control just ends up controlling us more and more because we really can't control things. Control is really an illusion. And so the more that we try to control, the less we tend to control. There's a lot of important reasons why this is so. And I really work to help individuals who are struggling with addiction and other things where they feel out of control to recognize that what's more important is actually mastery over control. Control, when you think about it from a metaphorical standpoint, if you think about a river, control is like trying to dam the river up and just stop the river. Or we're trying to change the bounds of the river in some way. And inevitably, rivers overflow. Inevitably, the flow is going to continue to happen. And so the more we control it, we may for a while look like we have control over it, but then events outside of our control or outside of what we foresaw happen, and suddenly the river overflows. When we instead learn to just accept the river for what it is, and we see the rocks, we see the rapids, we see the change in the level of the river, we stop trying to control it and we learn to instead master the river for what it is. And mastering a river can become very fun. If you've ever been on a whitewater rafting trip, it's a lot of fun to have class 3, class 4, or even class 5 rapids if you know how to navigate those rapids, or if you have a guide who can help you to navigate those rapids. So this idea of mastery really comes down to, hey, I accept what is in my life, but I don't have to just deal with it or surrender or give up. My surrender is actually a different kind of surrender. It's a surrender to the one who knows how to master the river. And I love to share the idea that we are not the rescuer here in this plan that we're in this mortal life that we're in. The rescuer, who is Jesus Christ, has overcome everything. He's overcome all of our challenges, all of our pains, all of our weakness. And the primary thing that he asks of us is that we choose him, that we choose to allow him to rescue us. He will never force a rescue because that in itself would be control. And God does not control anything, including the elements. So when we are willing to be rescued, and we show that by being an active participant in our rescue, then we can trust in the river guide, using the metaphor of the river, to help us navigate very challenging waters. We don't necessarily have to be our own master. Our job is primarily to trust the master and to trust the guide. And in many cases, if you've ever been on, again, using the river rafting analogy, if you've ever been on a river raft, you'll notice that your guide will say, hey, I need you to put your oar in the water and take 2 strokes, and then stop. And this is kind of the equivalent to me of being still, taking your oar out of the water and listening, because he can see the river. He understands the river. He understands all of its challenges that you may not be able to see. And when he asks us to put our oar in, it's because he wants us to be a part of the process. There's a really fun image that I have with my family going down the Chattooga River back in 2023. And this image is of us on the second of 3 class 5 rapids. And we had an outstanding guide who took us down that river. And in the photo, the thing that you'll notice is that all of our oars are out of the water because that was our time to be still and to know that he was our guide, to trust him, that he could get us through that rapid. He asked us to put our oars in, to position the boat, and then he took his oar and he guided the boat right down that rapid. And we had a blast doing it because we trusted our guide. So when we talk about mastery, what we're really talking about is the ability to stay in hard emotions, to stay in hard times, to stay in them long enough to get to the other side of them. So much of the time, we're not willing to do that. We get into something that feels hard and we just want to numb it out. It just feels too painful, too challenging. And so we may go to a numbing agent, like an addiction, to just numb that out and be able to quiet it versus being able to stay in it. And the gift of emotions, the gift of some of these things that feel challenging is that they are trying to show us something. It's kind of like putting your hand on a hot stove and feeling pain and going, oh, I don't want to feel that pain anymore. Let me take a numbing agent while I keep my hand on the hot stove and I continue to hurt myself. Emotions are trying to show us that, hey, something important in us got activated and we need to deal with it in an appropriate way. And if we just leave our hand on the stove and just try to numb out with a numbing agent, we're doing more and more damage. But if we can stay in the emotion, to embrace the emotion, to learn to master the emotion rather than just control it, actually learn what it means to really allow ourselves to feel alive. That's the essence of life. Life sometimes is happy, sometimes there's sadness, sometimes there's joy, sometimes there's maybe things that cause you to feel angry. And our job is to really stay in that long enough to gather all the lessons that it came to teach us. That's mastery, to stay in it until you can see it through to the other side.